Hello,
Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Metal Gear University.
I am T.
And I am Kay, and we're back with another 201. We got a couple lined up like we said. I'm actually really excited for this because this is for Women's History Month or Women's Month. What's the official designation?
I think it's Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month.
Wow, we're
Wow.
here.
We're here and we're recognizing it. We got
Find a woman and say thank you.
yeah, thank them and hold them and cherish them. Are you gonna cherish me?
Yeah,
Anyway,
okay.
today's episode, as you see, we'll be discussing the boss as well, which I think is something that everyone's familiar with, or it's kind of easy to understand if you play three. But I think we'll just yap about it, talk about what characters thought they were doing.
Yeah, maybe we'll rank each character and how they interpreted the boss's will.
How could we do a ranking if they're all at the bottom?
And, there's like an F and then like an F plus. Maybe someone got a C.
That
We don't know.
that's true. We know.
Well, we do.
We just
but,
watched Skullface's speech, and that man wasn't even talking to the right person. First of all, he wasn't even talking to the right person.
No, that's my favorite joke. I love that joke so much.
Like,
You
in the shower practicing, and then you got the wrong man.
Hilarious. I love that joke so much.
Did he know he had the wrong man at the end of the game?
I don't think he ever found out.
So you know what? A small mercy for him. I mean, he did get his legs blown up, but you know what? At least they should have the little last death blow. They should have been like, "He's not Big Boss," and then he can't do anything. Anyway, T, before we delve in, how was your week?
It was well. It was well.
It was that well that you.
It was well. It happened twice. I watched the Oscars along with you
Yeah.
and some other friends in Discord.
It was cool. I liked. We've been watching a lot more movies. I like Letterboxd. I like ranking them.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not a strong season. I will say that.
Yeah, it was alright. I mean, granted, I didn't see a lot of the Best Picture nominees.
We did.
We saw like 3 of them.
No, we saw almost all of them.
Really?
Yes.
Oh. Well, we didn't see The Substance. I know that.
Sorry. Okay, but yeah, but there was a few we haven't seen. But
Yeah.
we saw a good chunk.
I could be wrong, man. Never mind. We did see Oscar movies. I mean, I guess that goes to show how memorable they were for me.
I think that's what it is.
Conclave should have won. I'm gonna just put that on the.
Conclave or Dune.
Okay. I think in a perfect world, in a just world, Dune would have won Best Cinematography. It would have won Best Director. And I feel it would be fair for Conclave to win Best Picture. However, when Dune Messiah comes out,
You think they'll bless it?
I want what happened to Lord of the Rings to happen to Dune. Because,
So you're already acknowledging that it's going to be perfection and good.
yo,
Dennis
Daniel Villeneuve does not miss. That man does not miss. Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 are some of the best cinema I've seen in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
In just across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And like Blade Runner was amazing. What else did he do?
Don't look at me.
I'm blanking, but those are like my favorite movies.
Mhm.
But I feel like it might match Lord of the Rings because Lord of the Rings Fellowship was kind of snubbed, Two Towers was kind of snubbed, and when Return of the King came out, they gave him like everything.
Does it have the record for the most Oscars? I think?
It's tied with Bill Hur and
Ben-Hur?
Ben-Hur. He's the comedian. Ben-Hur, and it was like another movie. I just forget the other one. Citizen Kane? No, not whatever. But it's tied with
Okay.
2 other movies. Anyway, Anora ended up winning Best Picture, and it's all right.
I'm okay with Anora because it blocked Emilia Perez from winning.
Yeah.
And I think that's just I have to accept it because, at least Emilia Perez and all those people did not get any love. It was not a good movie. I don't care. I'm a Emilia Perez hater. It was not good. The people behind it were acting in real shifty ways. It was all around.
Mhm.
And Anora was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I did like the director's speech when he won because we are always big proponents of this, but like you got to support your artists because that movie was like completely. I don't want to say completely indie, but it wasn't like a big. It didn't have a big time budget. He was like really had a partner with a lot of production companies to get the funding for it. He wrote, directed, edited. Like he, it was really.
Yeah, and I'm surprised because that's usually like the kiss of death. Whenever you see a movie that's like written, directed, oh, he didn't star in it, so that's
he didn't
it.
star. That's why
Yeah,
it saved it.
That's the kiss of death. But it was close. It was tied in the line.
So-
But it like it's not a 10 out of 10 movie. I just felt like it was a decent movie that was elevated to the last moment because I guarantee you people were lining up as they were voting to vote for Amelia Perez.
Yes.
And then at the moment, like right before they were about to vote, is when all the controversies for Amelia Perez dropped.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, a lot of people were like, "Oh God, who do I do it to now? I'll give it to Honora. I hear that movie's good," and then they just give it to Honora.
Yeah, and the controversy was really starting. The main actress, she had a really lot of bad discriminatory tweets and some really bad takes about previous Oscars.
Yeah,
She really she has some choice words that you can look up.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of criticism for the movie being made in Mexico and, you know, starring some really heavy Mexican political themes and there were no Mexican people who worked on the film, no Mexican actors. And then when people pressed them, like, oh, why, like, you know, you should have involved some people, or like, how come, like, did you think about hiring like writers or whatnot? And they were like, this is not a film about Mexico. And it's like, well, it kind of is.
it is. And then also the two Oscars that this movie ended up winning, both times, they did not bring up anything about trans rights, anything about trans representation.
which is core in this movie.
That is the plot
yeah.
of the whole thing.
They didn't bring up.
And in like, I'm sorry to rant, but like in this moment in time right now, the time to talk about that shit is now.
No, did you hear what the director said?
What?
That they interviewed him after the Oscars when he lost, and they said, "Hey, like, do you want to say anything about the, you know, so in support of the trans community? Do you want to say anything right now? We're giving you the floor." He went up to the mic and said, "Well, if I had won, I had a speech ready," and then left.
Fuck him. Nah, man, fuck him. He had the platform right there.
So you didn't win. So you know what? I guess you guys don't want to hear what I have to say.
Oh, what a fucking pussy. Oh, fuck him. I'm glad you lost, you fucking asshole. I know you're listening to this. I know you're a big Metal Gear University.
Someone send this to him.
Prick.
Yeah, it's like you said, of all times, like the time where we are, that was your moment to like, hey, people loved your movie in other award ceremonies. There's people who actually like your movie. You won awards. Why not be like, you know what, we didn't win here, but you know what, I want to thank this people and the people of Mexico and the trans community. Like, why not be like, you know, be humble and grateful and at least get a good little PR at the end of it. Not use like a dick.
Yeah, I mean, like, even you don't even have to be like humble about it. You could go up to the stage, win that Oscar, and be like, I am so thankful I made this movie about a trans woman. And I worked with a real trans person in this movie, and I'm the one to do it. Like, they could have went real narcissistic on it.
I didn't win an Oscar, but you know what? I'm happy with what I did.
But like,
Yeah.
yo, they're just pricks.
Yeah, it was. Whew.
Anyway, I'm glad they lost.
Yeah, they suck. They suck. Watch I saw the TV Globe for some actual great representation, and they were snubbed. But I'm gonna be following that director.
No,
they are fantastic.
That movie's genuinely really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, I think we said it like last episode, but for real, check out I Saw the TV Globe. It's actually really good.
It's amazing. But yeah, Oscars were just what a boring way to spend the Sunday.
Yeah, it was.
But I feel like our intro's going long. But you know what's a great way to spend the weekend or Sunday?
What?
We went to a drag show because we fancy ourselves enjoyers of entertainers and performers.
Auteurs.
We saw a Toonami themed drag show.
That shit was funny. People are funny.
I'm sad because we were supposed to go. Well, I wanted to go. I think Tom was it. We got to go to Brooklyn for all this stuff, and we're not in Brooklyn.
Well, you're more of a fan of drag shows than I am, but I do enjoy it.
You don't want to. You can admit it right now if you don't want to go.
No, I do want to go.
But why'd you bring it up right now?
What do you mean?
Making me so feel self-conscious about inviting you.
Don't feel self-conscious about inviting me. I just want to I just wanted to say that I feel like you are a more enthusiastic fan of drag than I am. That's
Tom
all.
hates drag.
Yeah. L take from Tom.
Well, I wanted to go to a Kingdom Hearts themed one, but it was in Deep Brooklyn. I think the thing too, like if you're not from New York, the big thing with New York is that if like you're in one borough, you essentially stay in your borough, and like they say like long distance relationships are if two people live in different boroughs. Like it just doesn't work. It's hectic. We have a great transportation system, but it takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And the part of Brooklyn where we were gonna go to this Kingdom Hearts drag show, it was just deep.
Yeah, it was deep there.
It was deep. So sadly it sold out, which I'm actually really happy for.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
And but I will be going to more. I do love my themed drag shows, and you know, if you're listening and you're a fan of themed drag shows and you're in New York, let me know. We'll go together.
I'll go too. I support.
Oh, now you want to go? I thought you were just a casual fan.
It was fun.
Now Tom wants to go.
It was fun.
It was fun. You really like the Goku one.
The Goku one was hilarious. Okay, for people who are listening, the person that did the Goku one, they were a drag king.
Yeah, drag king. Yes.
And they went up, and their performance, and I shit you not, it was revolved around like AMVs that you'd find on YouTube with Linkin Park in the background, and that was their whole set.
So they were Super Saiyan Goku fighting Frieza, and they did a performance to Numb by Linkin Park.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. And then like they pretended to power up at the perfect moment. I laughed so hard.
But I like that because that's a real fucking nerd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I like, the mix. Like the love for like, of course, performing, but then like, you know, that person was on YouTube as well, watching the same AMVs, downloading the same corrupted videos from LimeWire. Like they were doing the same.
So funny, man.
So good. So good. But yeah, you know, I like my nerdy crossovers. That's my favorite. The Kingdom Hearts one, I'm a little sad though, because I want to see a performance to Simple and Clean.
Mm-hmm.
You have yet to play Kingdom Hearts.
It'll happen one day.
It'll happen one day. Okay, lastly, before we jump into today's episode, we were beginning to record the podcast, you and I, T.
Mm-hmm.
And we know right now it's South by Southwest, and we've been seeing like flyers, you know, Kojima's supposed to be presenting. And we were like, wait, did that happen? We should probably, you know, talk about it on the podcast. Maybe we can watch it before we record real quick and have some info.
Yeah.
And literally it happened.
It was like live as we were like, oh, is it on? Oh, they're talking right now. Like
we're psychic. I think this happens to us more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's good timing. You know?
Good time. We gotta
like we are fresh off of watching. Like this is a
no. We're fresh off of watching. Remember that time we last episode we looked up academic articles for Metal Gear. We were like, we emailed the professor. I have not got anything yet. I gotta see if I know somebody at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
But I reached out to the professor, and then that same week we saw the post that they're releasing an academic book of different essays relating to Metal Gear Solid.
Yo, I feel like we're ahead of the curve and behind the curve at the same time.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're doing. We gotta do something. I want that book though too, because okay. Anyway, but we had to stop recording and we watched the South by Southwest panel with Kojima.
Mm-hmm.
T, your impressions.
Okay. I've been saying for God knows how long.
Yes.
That I just want to see something. Just show me a little bit of gameplay. Show me another trailer. Show me something.
He has been at this level of volume.
And okay. I would have liked to have seen maybe like 10 minutes of uninterrupted gameplay footage.
Yeah.
But god damn it, I'm so happy that we have a trailer. And most of all, we have a goddamn release date.
Which is this year.
June 26th? That's like soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's like wait, hold on. How many Metal Gear University episodes is it until Death Stranding 2 comes out?
Oh, we gotta take a pause. We'll come back.
8 episodes. Under 10 episodes.
Until
Death Stranding 2 comes out.
And then, we're not going to count again, but Metal Gear Delta.
you guys will never see or hear from me for like maybe like 6 months.
It's good that this is all starting before the fall,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so you have
I have a little bit of time.
to just delve into it. Yeah,
Oh my
this fall,
god.
Tom is you want to be, you can open about your own journey and path, you know.
Okay. Well, Tom goes back to school starting September. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't
knock on
know.
wood, maybe.
Not knock on wood. I mean, like, I'm sure I'm gonna get a yes. It's just I have like ancient credits from like old time days. But
Hmm.
whoever takes the most credits, I'm gonna go there. But I'm like 80, 90% sure I'm gonna go back. So
It's good.
if I fail my classes, you guys will all know why.
These two games back to back. No, but I'm honestly glad it's coming out right before, like especially Delta. I think comes out
Like the week before.
the week before you would start
I'll
classes.
just cram it for like a week straight, and then
You know,
I'll have my fill.
I feel like we're probably gonna have a 24-hour stream where you're just like sitting here playing it.
It's like, guys, this is before I go back to school. Okay, this is my this is my last hurrah before I can do it.
No, I definitely think you're gonna beat that game before. Like it's gonna be. It's not gonna take you months. A week.
Well, like I want to experience all the little nooks and crannies about it. I mean, I know I could beat the game in like a day, but like I want to see the little things
I
too.
hear you. I hear you. But yeah, so Death Stranding 2 on the beach first, June 26th.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally, and I quote, this summer is going to be litty titty.
It is going to be litty titty.
That was, I was like, yeah, you're hyped. Because I haven't heard that phrase in like
It's
years.
going to be litty titty. I haven't said that phrase in years.
Yeah, you are, Tom was just
I was
overwhelmed.
I was so excited.
And it was a cool panel because I feel like they jumped straight to the trailer. As soon as the host came out, she was like, "Oh, we're having, we have a first look, whatever," and it cut right to the trailer. So no time wasted. We didn't have to wait to the end of the panel. It looks great, very beautiful. I like how they have this Italian actor. I'm not familiar with his work, Luca Marinelli. It looks like it might be some kind of the origin of.
Yeah, it like if I was to guess, he seems to be the reason why the still mothers, I think they're called still mothers, like are a thing to begin with. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna delve too deep into Death Stranding 2 lore. You look it up, kids. Okay, but it's like this weird, messed up death internet, and it seems to be started from him. And I guess he's guilty about it, if I was to assume. He seems to be like stepping into like Mads Mikkelsen's role in this game.
I see. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes, because I didn't know where he existed on the time frame too. It looked like it was kind of like a precursor to the events of Even 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't really. We saw it just a few moments ago, only once, and it was a Kojima edited trailer. So there's little things that we've missed. There's little hints that he probably put in there.
Yeah, I gotta watch it like another time, see all the little things. But you know what wasn't like a little hint?
What?
My man Luca looks dead ass into the camera in military gear and puts on a goddamn bandana.
And grabs a gun.
And he starts preaching about gun culture in America, and I'm like, this is goddamn Solid Snake. This is Solid Snake.
You said it earlier. Kojima saw what Sam Lake did with Max Payne, and he was like, "You can do that?"
Yo, what? And like he walked. I said the same thing with Sam Lake, but like Kojima saw like the line that you have to cross in order to get sued.
Well, you have to walk up to.
Yeah, and he walked right up to it. He went like a centimeter more, and he would get sued.
It looked like
Come on, are you kidding me?
Yeah, he was just reclaiming his OCs. He was like,
it's hilarious.
Let's not forget who created it. But like you said too, talking about America and its legacy and its image.
That's Solid Snake. Like, come on.
It's so fucking funny, man. It's. I think we have to watch the trailer again. I'm actually it looks gorgeous, just outright. It looks gorgeous. I hate saying this phrase, but the graphics look great. I never want to like judge a game on its graphics. I feel like it's
Hmm.
just it's not what you go to a game for. But it does look gorgeous.
Yeah.
And especially since this is a game where you're going to be in the environment
Yeah, that's the whole star of the show. And
right?
a thing that's new that like I am gonna appreciate, because like in Death Stranding 1, the environments are gorgeous, but they're like static, you know?
Mm,
Like it rains, but nothing like really changes. And it looks like that there are like severe weather happening in this game. Like there's like wildfires, and like it looked like that there was like a river that was like flooding at one point,
mm-hmm.
and like a dust storm. It looked cool,
Yeah.
and like it'll just make players change their play style, knowing that, oh, maybe I have to accommodate for these certain random events that might happen on my journey.
I think it makes, like you said, it makes the environment almost a character in itself. It's not a static just
Yeah,
JPEG you're walking through.
yeah.
It looks great. I never beat Death Stranding, so I watched you. I consider that me. I played the game. I sit and watch you. So I'm excited to again watch you play through Death Stranding 2.
Well, I'm excited.
I'm partial. I this is PT love speaking, but I'm partial to seeing the horror elements in this game. There was some horror elements in Death Stranding that I fucking enjoyed. So I'm hoping to see some more. The monster design looks fantastic, but I'm curious to see. I know there's gonna be some elements of it, and since we have heard nothing of OD yet,
Mhm.
I wanna. I'm just curious to see that. That's what I'm excited for. But it was cool. It was cool to catch this right now. I'm glad we saw it. June is wild. That's a few months from now.
I'm shocked that it's so soon.
I like that though. We haven't heard nothing, and then when it's time to be released, he's like, "Yeah, 2 months."
Amazing. That's so cool. I'm genuinely excited to play this game. Like, and I also mentioned to Kay, like right before we were recording, like I feel like in Death Stranding 1, Kojima, like I feel like you could even tell in his like presenting of like the game trailers and everything, like he was always like, "Oh man, I hope you guys like this." And he was like, "I hope this works." And with Death Stranding 2, I feel like he's kind of got a little bit more gusto. You know, like he's a little bit more sure.
Confident?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like he's got a little bit more oomph making this game.
I
You
mean,
know?
this was his first title after the whole Metal Gear Solid debacle, and of course, he's an acclaimed creator and a auteur.
Mhm.
But I think it is a new vision, something completely different. I could imagine him even himself, despite knowing his legacy in the video game history or whatever. I could imagine him just still being cautious.
Yeah.
But now he got two other games in the work. I feel like he's like, okay, Kojima Productions is a go.
But Kay,
Yeah.
before we delve into today's topic,
Oh, we're jumping right in.
we're jumping right in.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's a pop quiz about Sigan. Are you ready?
I really enjoyed Sigan's episode. Don't do this. Don't say it.
Don't say what.
Oh, Tom's been making fun of me all week because at the end of the last episode,
Oh,
I
yeah.
like congratulated ourselves. I was actually really happy with our conversation. So all week, every time I'm happy about something, he'll go, "Good episode, Kate."
Okay, it wasn't just like you said good episode.
I was really happy.
I know. Look, I was happy with that episode too. What got me? It wasn't that you said good episode. It's you said good episode and you went to shake my hand. That's what got me.
I was proud of ourselves.
No, and I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy that you felt
I
that.
forgot about the shaking the hand part.
That's what got me.
That was a genuine handshake I was reaching for. Yes, let's do this pop quiz about Sigan.
Okay.
For today's pop quiz, we have 4 questions
Mhm.
about Sigan.
Okay.
And they are a mix of true or false, open question. Take your time.
I will take my time. Thank you.
And I'm pretty sure you'll do a great job on them.
Thank you.
Question number 1.
Hit me.
Name 3 things Sigan invented that Naked Snake used during Operation Snake Eater.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, he invented the mask that Snake used to impersonate Rykov.
Correct. 1.
He also invented the Easy Gun, which is like a super advanced tranquilizer gun.
2.
And he also invented your little active sonar thing that Snake carries, which is like a primitive soliton radar.
You are correct.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sigint was honestly so skilled. The more we look into his history and kind of thought about his character more broadly, he was actually really influential. I mean, he was definitely a character in 4, if for lack of a better description. But anyway, question number 2.
Okay.
What is Sigint's hope for the world in the future?
Well, Sigint was very hopeful for technology to get to a point where people interacting online won't care about your ethnic or racial background.
Mm-hmm.
And being black in the early 60s, Sigint felt a particular kind of way. And his hope for tomorrow was that we could all just, get along online and race wouldn't even really play a part.
You are correct.
Yeah.
And that's partly the reason we could say he really joined up with Zero and the Patriots. In that optional codec that we spoke of last episode, he really, I think, kind of like bonded with Zero because Zero saw through all the stereotypes and racism back then. He was able to see Sigint for his talent and who he was, and Sigint just wanted that.
It makes you like have a lot of sympathy for the guy. Like I said in last episode, but I'll say it again. I never really thought too much of Sigint, but when we sat down and like really thought about him, I was like, wow, I kind of feel for him.
Yeah, you can kind of see where he went wrong, unlike other members of the Patriots.
Yeah.
Looking at you, bitch. Question number 3.
Okay.
True or false? Solid Snake spoke to Sigint in Metal Gear Solid 1.
That's a big old false. He actually spoke to Decoy Octopus.
Do we see Sigint in Metal Gear Solid 1?
We do. He's rotting in the corner, but you see him. He's there.
You are correct to both. Yeah,
Yay.
that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
T.
Yes.
Question number 4. Name a person in real life who is similar to Sigint. We mentioned a couple of people last episode.
So, real life historical figures who could have been the real life equivalent to Sigint.
Yeah, or kind of did. Essentially, there were people in the 60s who experienced the same kind of racism, the same kind of strife that he did, but also were really powerful and really talented at what they do in the STEM field.
Okay. Well, I remember we talked a lot about George Hawker.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of, if not the first, black CIA officials or spy.
He was like the first black spy in the CIA. It was pretty cool.
Am I correct?
You are correct.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, he's definitely one of them. We named a couple other people. Some of the women who were in Hidden Figures, for example. There was Otis Boykin, to name another person. So there were a couple cool people who were doing very similar things and sadly kind of experiencing the same kind of racism.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, I think last episode's in delving into Sigint's backstory, I do have a newfound appreciation for him. I'm not even gonna lie to you, I see him in such a different light now.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of Metal Gear University.
You learn something new. Even us.
As always, any questions, comments, if you want to kind of share your score for the pop quiz, you can email us at itstkandm, that is ITSTKANDM@gmail.com. T, are you ready for the episode?
I am ready.
Let's dive right in.
So in this episode, we thought, hey, what's the boss's will anyway?
For Women's History Month, we were like, let's think about the baddest bitch with the fattest ass. And I'm not talking about Big Boss. Not even Big Boss, Solid Snake. I fucked that hole up.
Well, I mean, Big Boss kind of has a booty too.
No, he doesn't though. It's really
Not,
Solid Snake.
yeah, of course not compared to Solid Snake.
Also, look at how I just jump right into objectifying.
Yeah, you are.
You see, that's that internalized shit. We all gotta work on ourselves.
Yeah, you gotta check on yourself.
Anyway, okay, what did the boss want? That is the crux, I think, of this entire series is people thinking they're acting in her image, being so inspired by her, and then completely missing the point.
Yeah.
And ruining millions of lives, if not the world.
I would argue the world. Yeah.
They ruined a lot of stuff because they were like, we love this woman, and let's try to, like, you know what, let's act in her image. And I think Metal Gear Solid 4 did a great job on kind of discussing how they all were corrupted in some way or the other. Like, the intentions were pure, and then it just evolved.
It just shot in the completely opposite direction.
I feel like it's like that whole thing of like intent versus, well, not even intent versus impact. You know, like you heard that phrase before?
Yes, I have, but maybe you should describe it.
Maybe I should just explain it. But if you do something, let's say you make a choice to, I can't even think of anything quick, but you make a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you did something that you thought was going to help me.
Okay.
But it actually wound up hurting me.
I see.
Initially, your intent was to make my life easier or do something, but the impact of it was actually harmful. And so you kind of like have to navigate, like, you know, like when you kind of like think about someone's role in something, was their intention pure and the impact was bad? Does the intent kind of take away how bad the impact was? You know what I mean? Like,
so like that time when I got you Chinese food and you got a stomachache from it?
No, it would have to be a situation like, I have a good one.
Okay.
I'm really sorry for saying this. Remember that time you cooked me breakfast and then you added that seasoning? It was like a lime kind of spicy seasoning, and it just fucked up the whole entire breakfast meal.
Yeah.
It was bad.
That was one time.
Did I throw? I think I had a stomachache or I threw up.
No, you didn't. No, you're being dramatic. But it was terrible.
It was terrible. Your intention was to cook me a delicious breakfast, but the impact of it was terrible. So
yeah, that was the worst thing I ever cooked.
That was terrible.
To be fair, I'm putting this out there. I'm usually pretty good at this.
No, he's a great cook.
I just,
and I'm sorry for bringing this up, but I think that's a perfect way to describe intent. Your intent was pure, and you're trying to help, but the impact was so bad. So then, when it happened, you kind of have to go. Was the impact, really terrible that it overrides your intention, or was his intention pure, and I can't even be mad at him because you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I think for this case, I was going to say that kind of follow, we can kind of use that for these characters, but not even because their intention, let's say, for example, Zero, his intention to follow the boss as well, he started off great, but then he devolved so much. I think his intentions also changed as he got older and more.
Like bitter at the world, I suppose.
But we'll get into that in a bit. Just wanted to, I think, these characters, I think their impact was so disastrous, and I think their intent did change, like you said, as they kind of experience more of the world. But T, I think we should start off first. What did the boss want?
I mean, to the best of my knowledge, all the boss wanted was a unified world that wasn't governed by dictators or like shadowy businessmen or anything like that. Basically like a world where everybody lived as one in peace. And she said to Snake that her will is that she would use the Colonel's money to try to make that possible.
So then what is an enemy? Is there such a thing as an absolute timeless enemy? There is no such thing, and never has been. And the reason is that our enemies are human beings like us. They can only be our enemies in relative terms. The world must be made whole again. The philosophers must be reunited. I will devote my skills to that purpose. And with the Colonel's money, I will achieve that end. Just as I once created the Cobras.
Of course, we know in Metal Gear Solid 3 that she knows that she's gonna die. Of course, this isn't like a real thing. But I took that as her literal will is like, Snake, I'm giving this to you, and I want you to try to do what I can't. And that's what they all tried to do.
It's funny because you said she didn't want a world governed by shadowy businessmen, but in a sense, that's what she wanted to do, or like you said, what she wanted Snake to do,
Mm.
because her intention was to have the one world, everybody kind of unified and working together, no borders, but she wanted to lead the world in that way. She said.
That's true. I mean, it's hard to imagine what the boss would have actually have done if she never died. Like, would she have actually lived up to that potential, or would she have failed? You know?
One could say we can see what happened with the Patriots row and everything.
You think she would have went that route?
I mean, I think that's the intention of the series. Like we see the people acting at her steed and
Mm.
how quickly they all fell to it. Who's to say? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why she's so revered because we never see her in that light.
She never had the chance to fall. That's actually a good point. Yeah.
So they hold her to such a standard, and we all hold her too in that same standard because she did really. I mean, she's just a great character. The charisma's there, but again, we don't really see her in that negative, warlike
Yeah.
light.
She died at the most opportune moment for her to be like a martyr. You know?
Exactly, exactly. I think what's interesting about the boss is she really did like the philosophers. She had no choice being the daughter of one of the main founding members. And so I think her wanting to recreate that with what was known as the Patriots.
Hmm.
In hindsight, we can see how that's a bad idea. But I think she felt that there needed to be some leading, guiding force hiding in the shadows
Uh huh.
to lead the world to a unified front. I think she knew her working in the government, she had her connections and things, but I think the only way she thought everybody would work together if she was pulling things from behind the scenes. And the money would also help.
Yeah, that would definitely help to do all the things that you would want to do. I
Is that I don't know, is that a good thing?
I mean, the,
Because the end goal of what she wanted sounds beautiful and great. But when you think originally, like, this one person wants to use these trillions, billions of dollars for their own idea of what the world should be like,
mhm.
is that, how is she no different than a dictator or different than the secret shadowy governments?
That is true. I guess it.
She's like, I'm different.
I guess she really believed to be different, and who knows? Maybe she really would have been. There's no way to tell, and that, like, I mean, just to reiterate, like, that's part of like the beauty of her dying right there, because
We can hold her in that light.
yeah, you could hold her in the light of like she was so pure, and she had this like great dream.
I was telling T earlier, I really do get some religious imagery from the series, even before 4, where it's kind of heavy.
Mm.
But I really want to delve into it. We really get this kind of like, I don't know, I get this like Madonna image of her, just like this really like pure and the mother of special force. You know what I mean? Like it's this big
Yeah.
like mother vibes from her.
I mean, she ended up dying on that field, and initially it was picked up by Zero and Big Boss together. But I would argue it's like primarily Zero that is like really like the person that picks up that baton and tries to make something.
I mean, I think him just being the leader of the small team,
Hmm.
he was the best person to kind of continue that. I think all of them seeing uh Naked Snake Big Boss at the end be so angry, I think that did catapult all of them into maybe feeling that same kind of anger and frustration with the US government.
Hmm.
I think Zero was just a perfect leader to rally them together.
Yeah.
And I think Zero loved the boss just as much as Naked Snake did. I mean, him and the boss went so far back.
Yeah, they worked. Zero said himself that they worked in SAS together. So they've had missions together as well.
So he's known her for many years, and I think all of them. Not only did Naked Snake see the betrayal that the U.S. did against the boss, but so did everybody else. They understood the weight of her death.
Yeah.
So I think them all banding together, it made sense. But the big question is, did they do what the boss wanted? Did anyone carry her will?
Like almost no one. Okay, for Zero, I feel like at the start, it was, you could say that it's almost exactly what the boss would have wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That a group of presumably really good people who have good intentions run the world from the background and try to steer the world in the right direction.
That's the base of what she wanted. That's what she wanted to do herself.
And I mean that when like the rubber hits the road, that's what she wanted. And like on the broader spectrum, it's like everybody living in like
Unified?
a unified world. Thank you. I was blanking there. Like a unified world, no government way, no way of ruling that like we even can like really comprehend. Really, like she doesn't like communism. She doesn't like
Yeah,
capitalism.
and she never listed or explained how it would work. She was just like, "I'm gonna do it."
Yeah,
So yeah, we have no conception of how the world would operate in her ideal
I
vision.
don't know. Maybe she was like an anarchist or something. Who knows?
But like, yeah, like we don't have, I think, any concept of like there's no word. Yeah, right. We don't have any word for the way the world would run in her idea.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we didn't really get a big speech from her. She had like 10 minutes, so her time was a little short.
She didn't get to explain.
Yeah, time was a
the
little
plan.
short for her. But at the start, Zero seemed to have followed what the boss would have wanted to do, at least in
Formation.
in the formation of things. And maybe at the start it was okay. But as time went on and as the decades piled on to each other, people got corrupted. Yeah, I'm thinking of one particular doctor who went a little nutty.
I mean, I think we hear about it in Metal Gear Solid 4 that Eva explains to Old Snake. She's essentially like, what got to Zero was his lust for power,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm shocked by, because when we see him in 3, it's very much a team effort. It's very much he's been known for years as a great leader and a great like a great soldier. So I think him being given the reins to rule everything, I think
Yeah.
it was too much power for one man. And I think, again, like, can we describe like the beginnings of the Patriots? Like, what was their plan?
I mean, their plan was probably to do exactly what the boss said.
Well, they wanted to have, remember, they wanted to have an icon.
Oh
Remember?
yeah, to kind of like fill in the place that the boss would have, and that was the boss's disciple, and that would be Big Boss. And Big Boss, for a short while, was content with playing that part. And Zero, I assumed, thought, this is working well right now. This is great. My best friend is here. But you know, he's gonna get old, so maybe I need to have people, you know.
No, it wasn't even that. Big Boss was losing sight of. They weren't agreeing on a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, but the straw that broke the camel's back was the Les Infanteries project.
Yeah, but didn't he do that because Big Boss was leaving?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it that the Patriots started? Zero was doing all his stuff to make the world a better place, and then he was getting corrupted by his lust for power. And this is like per Eva in Metal Gear Solid 4.
It's per Eva, and granted, maybe she is coming from a biased place, but
That's what I'm thinking too, because she kind of
she's on Team Big Boss.
she is.
Yeah.
So again, like I believe her, but she later goes into this whole diatribe of like, I wanted to carry you, Snake. So you gotta look at her stuff a little. But
Mhm.
she says that Zero's lust for power caused Big Boss to kind of like stray away. And then Zero was like, no, Big Boss is our icon for the world. He's our hero. and so I need to create. He did this secret little project. Like she said, it was his insurance.
Yeah.
So, which makes sense. I mean, if you have this vision for the world, you want to have this icon, this leader, to be the face of it. And he was like, "Who get a handsome ass guy to help us?" But I feel like Eva is sympathetic to Big Boss. I think because she was with Zero outright and saw his descent. I think Big Boss like fucked off, and she wasn't able to see entirely what he was starting to do.
Yeah.
Because I think we can go in now into like Big Boss and like kind of his
descent.
yes. Where do we even begin? Because like he was with Zero from the beginning.
He was. Zero, I feel like Zero was the kind of guy that wanted to be precise, be discreet,
Mm-hmm.
and to be like a literal, like shadowy, almost Illuminati like figure.
Mm-hmm.
Big Boss was like, nah. He like Big Boss where Zero would use a scalpel, Big Boss would use a sledgehammer.
But do you think when Big Boss fucked off, he was still following the boss's will? Because part of me feels like he became so disillusioned by Zero that he was following the boss's will with Zero. And then once that kind of got messed up and turned upside down, he was just burnt. I feel like he was just burnt out, but in the worst kind of way.
Yeah.
Because he went off and he did what he knew best. And he was like, I'm gonna build my whole little site. I'm gonna get my soldiers. I'm gonna lead them. And my main thing is loyalty to the mission.
Mm-hmm. Like I feel that Big Boss, he viewed the boss's will as
Wrong.
Well, yeah, he's wrong. But like I feel that he viewed it in terms of like, I want a home for soldiers who will not be betrayed, who will serve under me and who will be loyal to me, and I will not betray them because I am a good guy, except for the medic. He fucked over the medic. But
Oh my god.
but like I feel as if that is what his interpretation morphed into.
Yeah, I think it morphed. Because I think originally, he understood.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least he was vibing with Zero's impression. Which I think Zero's impression originally was right.
Yeah, the page one.
Page
the page one, yes. When you get to page like 100, it's off by a lot.
So he was vibing with that, and then like you said, I think it became loyalty, and maybe that was just the part of it that maybe made the most sense. He was most comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
because I think like that the whole soldier mentality. Like if I'm the leader. Also, Zero didn't show him loyalty.
That's true. He betrayed him as well.
And then he also betrayed the boss by what he became.
Yeah. And so Big Boss decided to honor the boss in a way that would show her loyalty by showing other soldiers loyalty as well.
Except for Venom.
Well, I mean, I feel like once you get to 5 and honestly, like towards the end of Peace Walker, Big Boss says himself that like he's done warning the boss.
True.
He symbolically throws the bandana away.
Good point.
So like I feel that like the boss's will for Big Boss, I feel like any attempt for him to follow it ended there.
Good point.
And then like whatever ideas that he had going was what was going on from then forth.
See, that's a good point, and I think that helps me kind of describe his personality. I think in Metal Gear Solid 4 at the end, when it's, the big reveal and his speech to Solid Snake, he reverts back to talking about
loyalty. Yeah.
And then I think too, I get confused. He's talking about the boss and all of that because that's what led him down the path. But you're right, he gave her up once the AI.
And if you think about it,
yes,
like the boss AI that put itself into to Lake Nicaragua or the sea, wherever it drowned itself. The biggest thing that Big Boss said was that she betrayed him.
She betrayed me, Kaz. She what? In the end, she put down her gun. And when she did, she rejected her entire life up to that point, including me.
What do you mean?
In giving up her life, she abandoned everything she was as a soldier.
And you consider that betrayal?
I won't make the same choice as her. My future is going to be different.
And then that was the moment that he was like, I don't vibe with her anymore.
She betrayed me. Yeah, because
So-
this is the quote unquote the second time she betrayed him.
Yeah, but like if you think about it, the boss betrayed him one time. Then he dips and he tries to honor her, but it doesn't really work out. He vibes with Zero, betrays him. He dips. Then the boss betrays him again. And he's like, all right, so this whole thing is just bullshit. I'm
Yeah.
just going to do my own thing now.
And then Kaz betrays him.
And then Kaz betrays him. And he's like, you're on the list. The first opportunity, he just nicks him. Like, he's just, you're out.
But how many times do you have to be betrayed to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To learn your lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a whole other topic of like Kaz and Big Boss. But like Kaz being so hurt by losing favor, you don't understand what this man has gone through.
Yeah.
So I feel like you said, like the betrayal, he was like, like you said, I'm gonna do my own thing. And the thing that I recognize and understand is loyalty. But I feel like, did we ever see Big Boss? You think when he was in Peace Walker and after leaving Zero, he was trying to act in her image?
In a way. Like, I feel like he was trying to be an ideal role model or like the best soldier. Like the type of CEO that would never betray you. That would fight the good fight. And that we're the good guys. Don't worry, guys, we're good.
Yeah.
And I feel like at a certain point, he devolves into like this madman, really.
Yeah. Same as Zero. It's this lust for power. It's this control. And I think when you don't align with their views, you're either with me or against me. It's back to her whole idea of like this. Is there a universal enemy? Zero was your best friend. He was your pal. And then just as quickly, they were at ends with each other. Only just a few years ago.
They were best buds.
And I feel like, even if we think about like Skullface or anybody else who kind of tried to see the world in their own light, nobody really. I think power always corroded any intent for good or any intent for justice.
Yeah, or any real intent. I mean, like it's corny to say, but like that phrase, like absolute power corrupts absolutely.
I like that.
The boss never got absolute power, and thus she got to remain herself. But Big Boss and Zero, they got the sword. They were like, I can do it, and very quickly it devolved, and they could not.
I mean, it was just a matter of years. If you think about it too, I mean, how quick was the Les Enfants Terribles project after Metal Gear Solid 3?
Man, it was like 10 years.
Wasn't it like really quick?
It was pretty quick.
So think about the quickness. To talk about another person who kind of not even tried to act in her image, but had a similar view for how the world or wanted the world to run in a certain way, Skullface.
Loser. Look, Zero and Big Boss, they made attempts. And you can kind of
for like a few months.
Look, I mean, like, I would say that the boss is painted like a lovely portrait. And Zero and Big Boss, they're like, college level kids, and they made like an attempt, and you're like, okay, you're doing something. Skullface is like an elementary school kid with crayons. He's not doing nothing.
Yeah, his whole arc, it's so basic, and I think that's why his ending is so basic. That's why his power was a farce. Like I feel like he had legitimate anger. He had a legitimate cause in the sense of my language, my home was taken from me, and this is not right.
Mhm.
But then I feel like the whole idea of five is, revenge is really pointless. Revenge doesn't solve or fix anything. His whole idea of like showing Forrest with his broken ass Metal Gear, his whole idea of like making English like it's funny, he's like, I want to get rid of English, but then a new language will come up and that'll be the main. So what is your point then?
Like that's it. I
You're
think
gonna disrupt stuff for a few years and then
like what's the second most dominant language in the world? Is it Spanish? I think it's Spanish, right?
it's hard. I didn't know that's it for the US, but I don't know if it's Spanish.
I th-
No,
I
would
think-
it be Chinese?
I think so. Like
Yeah.
Spanish or Mandarin, or
Yeah.
but like, and then what? Like you just gonna make a parasite for that? Like
You disrupt stuff, but your whole goal for revenge, there's really there's no plan for it. You just want to, you know what I mean? You're just angry and just kind of like throwing
yeah.
it out there.
I mean, like, I guess you could argue that he wants to get rid of English because that's Zero's language, and he's like, oh, I'll make Zero suffer. But I don't know, man. It's kind of like very short sighted of you to think that like Zero's organization only speaks English. Like, maybe Zero is fine. Maybe Zero himself
yeah.
cannot speak anymore.
This is it's
But
bigger
like,
than that.
but like, come on. Are you gonna tell me?
No, and then you think about even back to that whole mission in 5 where you have to find all the soldiers that speak Congo and you have to find all of them. Multiple soldiers speak multiple languages. So you could just switch to the, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean these are like the most
trilingual.
trilingual, quadlingual soldiers I've ever seen in my life. These are so educated soldiers.
But then you think about back to the philosophers. It was the heads of many different countries.
Mhm.
And we could imagine, like, now, of course, a lot of people's not core language, a lot of people speak English as a way to interact with other people from different countries. But that doesn't mean they don't speak another language as well that they can just jump to or switch to. At that point, 2 and 4, AI is so advanced, like, I can think things will be translated. People, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much money and the technology is there. He's not hurting nobody.
Yeah, it's very very short sighted.
And it's also too, what was his main goal was to hurt Zero and destroy English. What was it beyond that? See, I forget about him because he's so forgettable. He's fun, but what was his?
He wanted to mass produce like Walker Gears or other types of Metal Gears, give nukes throughout
Yes,
the world,
right.
and just be messy. He just wanted to cause a ruckus.
So then, what was your revenge then? You just you know what I mean? There's no justice or righteousness involved.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
were
like,
hurt, so you wanna.
yeah, if you think about Skullface's plan, I guess you could say, for more than like a couple of minutes, you could really see that he was just a very bitter guy that was just thrashing,
Yes.
and that all he wanted was to just hurt Zero. That was it. Like, and any other thing that was could be seen as advantageous to him, he just took it. So like maybe he said, "Oh, I'm gonna follow the boss's will, and I'm gonna do it because he knows that that'll hurt Zero."
True.
You know, like I'm gonna do it where you failed.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it, and just to hurt him. You know.
Yeah, grabbing on to anything that makes him look strong or powerful. I mean, even when Sahelanthropus, that was inoperable.
And a rickety ass Metal Gear that was only operable through Psycho Mantis. That was it. If it wasn't for him, that thing wouldn't even move.
I feel like that's kind of his whole character too, is this big show of force, but when you look beneath it, it's nothing. On its face, it's dangerous and it looks scary. But you break it down or peel away the layers,
He's kind of pathetic, really.
and he died in the most pathetic way by the most pathetic man.
The themes of revenge and how pointless it is, I fucking love. I love it so much. It's so cool.
I feel like it is the perfect game to go after 4 because like you have this whole big war economy and war, invokes violence and invokes like these political chess moves that people are doing. But at the root of it, you have these people who are affected by it, like these individual stories. You have Venom, you have Skullface, and war just creates this anger, this sadness, this pain. And so when you have someone at the end when Skullface dies, no one won.
Mhm.
Kaz wasn't happy. Venom wasn't happy. I mean, Huey was happy, but
He was a prick.
he was a prick, and I feel like his whole there was no significant or strong thoughts in that brain. That guy did not think.
No, that I strongly believe that like Huey has like some sort of chemical imbalance in him. Like there is something about him that is like I don't want to say narcissist, but like there
You
is.
know how I feel about
I
that
know, I
word.
know. I hesitate to say the word, but like I just feel that like he just has like a different view of the world that not a lot of people have. You know?
Mhm. I hear you. Yeah, I just how I feel about like TikTok and social media. Everyone throws around those words, and those words aren't like.
Yeah,
But I mean, if anyone were gonna have some kind of personality traits or types, in a negative view, it would be him. But I feel like yeah, Skullface really was just like I think I agree with you doing it to hurt Zero in his way. He was like, I think this will be like the I got you Zero,
yeah.
but just empty, hollow.
Prick. But is there anybody that you think that actually might have been able to follow the boss as well?
I think so. Again, I think her goal was to unify the world.
Mhm.
She wanted she unify the world essentially in a beautiful, positive way. Have everyone be connected. She was a great soldier, but she did not like that there was. She recognized actually that there were no universal enemies, just humans fighting humans.
Hmm.
And I think with that core idea, I think the person who best personifies that goal and wish, baby girl Sunny.
Sunny.
I think Sunny. I stan Sunny because in like one of our YouTube videos, I think she really kind of broke that generational curse that was passed down from the boss.
Interesting. Cause like she is the generation that came after.
After what?
Well, I mean, you have think of like the boss as like the starting point.
Yeah.
Then you have like her children, so to speak. Not children, but like the people immediately after. That's
Naked
like
Snake.
Naked Snake and Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their kids,
Solid
which is like
Snake.
Solid Snake, the snakes, the Raidens, them. And I feel like that generation is like that borderline between the old and the new.
Mm.
Cause like they're still tethered to the boss because they have such a close connection through Zero and Big Boss.
Yeah.
But by the time you get to Sunny, it's more of a reflection on Snake and Raiden and Otacon and all them, and maybe hints of Zero and the boss. Not Zero and the boss. Zero and Big Boss.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe that they have a real chance of like starting something new because they're not as affected.
And I think when people talk about generational curses or breaking patterns in your family, it takes more than one line to do it. Like you're not gonna like you yourself are not gonna break all the quote unquote curses or negative traits in your family.
Yeah.
So I think to your point, with Solid Snake and Otacon, they had the remnants of the boss of Big Boss in them because, like you said, they were so closely related and they were affected directly by them.
Mhm.
But with Sunny, she was affected by them, but it wasn't as strong because her parents essentially were Old Snake and Otacon.
Yeah, and they made the work to make themselves better.
They recognized what wasn't good, and like they were a part of it, of course, in their youth. Exactly, they were a part of it. You think about Metal Gear Solid 2, they were a part of that, and they realized like things were not working.
Like they self acknowledge that yeah we're kind of terrorists.
I mean, I think about Otacon in 2. His whole thing, he was like, I didn't know that. Not 2, sorry, 1.
Mhm.
When he was like, I was only working on the defensive protocols. Like I wasn't working on like the nuclear part, but I was like,
You're just naive.
you're naive and you were still part of the team.
Yeah, and in 2 he realizes that and he makes the effort to stop, and that's where he separates from Huey because Huey was like, "Oh, I love this shit,"
Mm-hmm.
and Snake wanted to separate himself from Big Boss by not making war his whole identity and not like realizing that there's more to life than
Then you're like exactly your genes, your history, like that
yeah.
whole Metal Gear Solid 2 ending.
And so I feel like that gives the space for Sunny to grow and to start something new. So when she is given the opportunity to write the Fox Alive virus, she thought of a way to keep the system going in a way where it doesn't affect people's day-to-day lives and it only took out the bad apples, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, that's exactly what the boss wanted.
I think it's also kind of sad, but uplifting, that Sunny was the one to do this, and I don't think Otacon or Old Snake even thought it was possible. So I think when Otacon spoke of what Sunny did, he was like, "Oh, like everything's still okay. Like we're operating. Like was that Sunny? Was she?" Like I feel like he's almost surprised that it was even an option to exist without the Patriots' reign.
Because in a way, he was brought up in it himself.
True.
Like
Good point.
he and Solid Snake wanted to do better, and in many ways, they did better. They're great, but they're still products of that system. And Sunny is one more generation ahead, and she was able to see something different.
It makes me wonder if her being isolated on that ship away from society helped her think of something new.
Maybe, yeah.
Remember how we were saying earlier how the boss had no word like we didn't get an impression of like how she wanted things to run. Like like she said no capitalism, no communism, everything. But what do you want? But Sunny was able to write something that removed like it maintained society, but it removed the patriots. You know what I mean? Like she was able to come up with her own.
Yeah, it more or less it took away all the bad stuff and left society as it was. And I guess it just took people just getting over their generational trauma to like understand the boss's will. I mean, it makes you kind of wonder where the boss was coming from when she got this idea to begin with.
I think it's you don't know what you don't know. And I don't think she could comprehend something beyond the structures that were already in place. I think looking at the philosophers when she grew up in it, she saw possibly them devolve into the Generacy. She saw them devolve into kind of like similar to Skullface, being angry, corrupted, maybe being tyrants of their own. And so she was like, you know what? I see what they're doing wrong. I'm gonna lead it in a different way.
Mhm.
I'm gonna bring it back to the root of it. Be just, be whole. And it kind of like she wanted to have that reset. Zero and Naked Snake wanted to do that reset as well, but then they became just like her parents and like you know what I mean? Like they kind of went down that same route.
Yeah.
So I do think Sunny being completely removed from society gave her the opportunity to think of something new. Because I think she would have been similar to the boss, and like you see what's happening, and you're like, what else is possible?
Yeah, I mean, especially in the society that 4 sets up, it like it's not like our world now. It's very bleak.
I mean, it's war driven.
Yeah,
War.
everything is war.
So I think Sunny was able to see, she was able to see beyond that, and then especially too, you have Snake and Alakon giving. They got Olga's picture up there. She knows about her mother.
Mhm.
They probably told her stories of what they've been through. She knows why she's on the ship.
Yeah,
So I think she's aware. Like, you know what I mean. Like, the only way too you can change the future is you understand and recognize the past. And so I think that again, like thinking about breaking generational curses, she was able to do that. And it was an effort by the people before her.
hmm
So it wasn't just her; it was through all the people who came before her.
it took a lot of hard work to give Sunny the privilege to think of something new.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think. And I think it's, kind of going earlier with like intent versus impact. It's sad to think that Zero and Big Boss couldn't do it. They were, I mean, they were dicks. They were products of their time, but they were also evil and dicks,
Yeah.
And Skullface, I think he was just purely revenge driven.
Yeah,
But it's sad that you can come from this place where you want things to be better and change, and how you yourself can be corrupted. And yeah, I really do. I think I like 4. I like the ending of 4. It's bittersweet. And we're gonna talk about 4 later this year.
Mhm.
But I think Sunny was a great. Well, I think she was the one who executed the boss as well perfectly.
I would agree. I think Sunny did the best job you could have done given the circumstances of this game.
And I don't want to talk about what may have happened after 4. We don't want to talk about how society may or may not have continued. Let's just hold it to where it was left off.
I mean, Revengeance is reportedly non-canon.
Yeah.
So, as much as that game rules, it's fun.
But then think about how the world kind of
It kind of repeats, but that is not a part of the official.
it
timeline.
doesn't work with our explanation, so we're gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna ignore it.
I love Revengeance though. It's cool.
It's so good. That's definitely gonna be one of the games we talk about later after we do the mainline ones.
Mhm.
But T, I think this is it. I think we've kind of ranted enough about the boss as well.
I agree. Good episode. We're shaking hands if
You
people
son-
don't know.
You son of a bitch. I do think the boss was a martyr. I like what you said though. We never got to see her act out her dream, and it makes me sad to think that she might have kind of become the Zero as well.
I mean, I'd like to think that she would have succeeded where they have failed, but I hate to admit it. I think she would have failed too. I don't know where. I don't know how. But I can't conceive her succeeding.
I think just the minute you say I want to continue what the philosophers have done, and what they were doing was this shadowy secret government behind the scenes, like puppeteering.
Mhm.
There's no way that works out in a great way for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're not starting from a good place.
Yeah. I mean, she had this idea of like, I'm going to bring back the Illuminati, but like the good Illuminati, not the bad one now, like the good one.
Has there ever been a good Illuminati?
In Metal Gear, no. In real life, maybe there.
Who knows?
Is there Illuminati? I don't know. Who's that? Do you know? Is the Illuminati listening right now?
Email us at itstknm@gmail.com.
Got to open up your third eye.
Third eye. Anyway, T, I think we can end it here. I am excited for Death Stranding 2.
As am I.
I'm excited for our next episode. We got to do some research for the next episode, starting like this week.
Okay, I'm
Right.
down.
Our next episode, we will be talking about women in Metal Gear Solid.
Oh,
So hopefully we got some academic articles to read off. Maybe we'll post some. We want to do some light reading before the next episode.
that should be fun. We got homework. Potential homework.
Potential
We'll
homework.
see. We'll see.
Maybe we'll post it. But everyone, thank you for listening. As always, I'm Kay,
I'm T.
and this is Metal Gear University. Email us at itstkandm@gmail.com. That is ITSTKANDM @gmail.com. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.